In this video, we're going to go over the top 5 problems we found with the 13th generation Ford F-150. Now there's a lot going on here, and one of them happens to be an engine compartment noise. What do you think that is? We'll get into it. Number 1, four-wheel drive. 2, episode. Odd, not working, not locking in. So in other words, you turn the switch up there, and you think you're going to engage your four-wheel drive, but the front wheels do not engage. Really kind of a big problem no matter what generation. Actually, with the Ford F-150s, this style right here is what they call a vacuum seal, and you can see the vacuum lines right here going inside, and internally in that aluminum housing is several seals, and they actually cause a vacuum. When the vacuum goes on and turn the switch, it kind of brings the seals in and it locks, that engages that four-wheel drive hub going in and out. Old days we used to actually turn, and it was a spring-loaded thing. Now they make it so that you can just fly and drive right from the seat, so you don't have to get out, but these are notorious for not working, and you can get them at 1AO.com. Number 2, now this is kind of a scary one because it's multiple lights. 3, episode. Multiple dash lights on the dash, everything from trailer tow to side marker lights, everything's just going off on the dash. You might have a scanner you pull, and there's no communication codes, nothing you can find. Before you go too deep and bury yourself in a lot of things, it's called an SOD module. What it is a side optical module. One of them, there's multiple, but one that has a problem is right here behind this headlight. On both sides there's one for left and right, and those modules get water in them, and they split and break open, and that causes mayhem all throughout the system that actually communicates to all the modules and the control modules. Everything, it just goes. We're done, so you could poke wires and all that, spend a lot of time, but first check for water damage behind any of those modules, and the headlight ones, I like the number 1 to go to. Now if you've had a Ford before, actually a lot of cars have this issue nowadays, and it's lack of heat. Like the blower works, but no heat comes out, and it doesn't matter whether it's defrost, floor, or vent. Number 4, episode. Lack of heat, matter what mode you have it in, it always seems to come down to 90% of the time the actuator, and that's the blender actuator or the heater control blend actuator, meaning blends in the cold air or the hot air. Now just like anything, you want to stick with basics. If you have no heat coming out, you always want to check your coolant with the car, cool not hot. Make sure this radiator has it's up to where it should be, and same with the overflow tank. If you've got coolant and your car is not overheating by the gauge, or you know that there's no steam coming out, you're going to want to check the blendo. You can always go to the heat core hoses and check real quick. Make sure they're equal temperature on both sides. That tells you warm water is coming in and circulating, but you're just not getting it through that actuator blend door, so you're going to have to get in there, which by the way we sell many of at 1auto.com, and we have tons of videos on them. So it's that time, the one that you've been waiting for. Number 4, that engine noise. Now 5, episode. Water pump. If you take a good listen to it, we're going to run it a little longer, and a lot of people think that that's like a lower end knock, and some people say upper end, and I could tell right away it just wasn't an engine. It seemed like an external, like a pulley. Now I looked it up, and they are notorious for this. They have water pump issues or thermostat issues. This happens to be the water pump. It's wasted on this truck, so we're going to replace that and go from there. But thermostat and water pump issues have to do with also overheating, because obviously the propeller is not working or the thermostat gets stuck closed, and people have complained about once they replace the water pump and the thermostat, it still overheats. There are pockets form easily inside this engine in the cooling system, so what you always want to do is do a vacuum, meaning vacuum that engine out, just the coolant system, meaning vacuum it, and then it sucks the coolant into the proper level, and it bypasses and pushes an air pockets up to the top. Another quick way at home is that don't top it off all the way, leave it topped off and run it, but always wherever the filler is, doesn't matter what engine you have, make that the highest points so that the air actually wants to travel to leave. But if you make it to the highest point, it has to go uphill instead of down or leveled, and that can cause it to be trapped in there, so gravity works with you if you do it that way. Number 5, if you've heard it, you know what it's. 6, episode. Exhaust manifold. Is exhaust manifolds very common on a lot of trucks actually, but I think Ford leads the way on this one, and the studs break, they pop, the manifolds crack, and you can't help but hear it. And the good way to solve it is to go from one fendel to the other. Hopefully you don't have it into fendels, but you can go to one fendel and listen. It's pretty dominant right here, and then when you lower it down you can see it's pretty easy to see, especially on the 3.5. It's right out in the open.